Welcome to Rivertown Poets. And as you know, I'm Sandra Anfang. I am so thrilled that, but not surprised, that Monica and Shawna had the quick-wittedness and wherewithal to just go, oh, let's do open mic first.
That was Chris's
idea. Brilliant. Thank you, Chris. Anyway, it was absolutely brilliant and fun to hear open mic. We have been meeting on the first Monday of every month since 2013, June 2013, right here till the pandemic, then on Zoom. And now we are meeting still every month. Shawna and Monica host the live readings, and then in alternate months I host the High Desert edition from Las Vegas. So you can join us on Zoom or live or both. That would be great. All right, our featured poets tonight are we three, Monica, Shawna, and me. We're going to do a braided reading. Of course, we thank the Aqus Café, which is our forever home. John and Leslie, the wait staff, the kitchen staff. So great to come back after 7 months and see familiar faces still here. That's wonderful. They have been amazing boosters for poetry, and I just feel like I'm home again. I haven't gone anywhere else. I came straight here from the airport. Before we begin, instead of a student poem, which I usually read every month, I want to remember 4 fine poets who left us all very recently. Boy, things come in groups. Marvin Heemstra just this week. You may have remembered Marvin. His email was Droll Marv, which gives you a little insight into his sense of humor. And he's featured here a couple times, came up to open mic a lot. Peter Neal Carroll from San Mateo County, a wonderful poet. Lou Bear just a week or 2 ago, I think. Lou used to come with his wife, Janet. Janet was mainly the poet, but now and then we could get Lou to get up and read a poem, and they were always really good. And Maureen Hurley, with whom I worked at California Poets in the Schools for many years. She dedicated about 30 years of her life to Cal Poets. All right, so on with the show. I'm going to introduce our first reader tonight, Shawna Swetech. Shawna is a retired hospital nurse and now a poet and visual artist. Her poetry appears in Rattle, The Healing Muse, the Marin Poetry Anthology, Ars Medica, Pulse, and the American Journal of Nursing, among other places. She is also an integrative wellness practitioner, using Reiki, and writing to assist clients on their healing journey. A co-host for Rivertown Poets, Shawna's first poetry collection, Standing in Their Fire, is due for publication in spring 2025. Welcome, Shawna.
So we are going to do a braided reading, and each of us are going to read a couple poems and then pass the mic along. So I'm going to jump right into the deep end with some political pieces. This first one I wrote in 2016 after the election that I didn't care for the results of, and it's called Post-Election Moon. Where is the solace the night sky once held, moon as hope, stars as windows to the infinite? Tonight's new moon is a menace, hanging like a scythe in the blackness. There's no joy to be found in its coronet of scant and colorless stars, just a threat, a curved white scar, a celestial saber drawn from the dark scabbard of night. Some call it a fingernail moon, but I can't find a kindly clipping lying on the carpet of heaven. All I see is a silver scimitar poised over the thin neck of our broken world. And this next one I wrote recently. It was on Veterans Day, a few days after the election. It's called On Veterans Day 2024. I've never shouldered a rifle. Back in the late 60s, Vietnam raging, I was a bearer of wildflowers in my hair and garlands around my neck. I believed peace and love was a new reality, moved to Hawaii to live from the ocean and the land. I think I must have fallen asleep then, become a girl version of Rip Van Winkle, and waking now to a post-election world I don't recognize, don't understand, don't want. Division, greed, immoral worship of power, the stormy seabeds we're still anchored to. I am afraid of what's barreling down on this world. I wish I could say I saw it coming, the dark tides rising, but maybe it was always there, and I just preferred wearing my rose pink shades and straw hat, going barefoot, sharing bounty from love's garden. No, I am not a veteran of war, but of hope and decades of innocent belief that laws stay laws when a fight is won, and people at their core are mostly caring, kind. The hard November rain has finally slowed, sun furtively peeking from ragged patches of cloud. In puddled reflections, I see my duty call now, as flower child in combat boots. With compassion and words of warmth, I'll keep marching the muddy, faded path of hope. I'll shoulder a vision of goodness. I'll keep soldiering on. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Monica Volker. She is an award-winning artist and poet out of Petaluma, California. Her innate ability as a healer has allowed her to connect to the world around her and has been a cornerstone of her successful career as a critical care nurse in San Francisco. Retired now, her desire to heal and inspire continues through writing and by authoring a children's book and a collection of Sinryu poetry. She is a co-host along with me and Sande of Rivertown Poets, a monthly group in Petaluma. And here's Monica.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. Okay, well, I'm going to read some poetry about the holidays. Such a behemoth of hard wood, both oak and ash, standing solid on 4 legs, with 2 leaves and sash. A kingly representation, as if in the days of medieval knights. Highly glossed tabletop, waiting exclusive and exotic delights. Across its tablecloth surface has been many a celebration, including birthdays, holidays, and an occasional heated conversation. It has served as a cave for toddlers and crawling babes, draped with the same tablecloth and imagined as caves. If this table could talk, it would remind you of a time, either past or present, conjuring memories sublime that are kept quiet but alive in the recesses of your mind, reappearing once again as the tablecloth is spread for the 100th time. Thank you. I think you'll get a kick out of this one. I know you ladies will, and I know a lot of you men will like it as well. This is called Dishwasher. Let me into the kitchen after the festivities are over. Let me mingle with the saucepans and the platters while the dishes are piled high. In privacy, I will scrape the knacker from both sides of the skillet, rich with butter and herbs, enjoying the forgotten lemony capers and the tangy shallots. I will pluck a small piece of bread from the basket and soak it in the puddles of au jus left behind on the meat platter. With a wooden spoon, I will rake across the fry pan, chipping off bits of truffle left after the last new potato was served. In privacy, I will lick the glossy, creamy remnants of tonight's chantilly cream from the beaters, savor the lost blackberry and strawberry. I don't have to be a guest. I have the entire menu at my disposal. I can have it all in privacy. I can close my eyes and revel in the spirit of all the flavors as they roll across my tongue. When I awaken from my food coma, the dishes are still here. I sound the alarm. All hands on deck. After all, this is my kitchen. Thank you, everyone. So So it is with great pleasure that I introduce to you Sandra Anfang. Sandra Anfang is a poet and artist and the founder and co-host of Rivertown Poets in Petaluma since 2013. She is the author of 5 poetry books, 2 collections, and 3 chapbooks, and a longtime teacher in the California Poets in the Schools program. A former reference librarian and elementary school teacher, she currently paints, writes, and plays pickleball in Las Vegas. You can get in touch with Sandra at www.sandraanfangart.com. Give a warm welcome to this new Las Vegan, Sandra Anfang.
I don't know if I'll ever be a Las Vegan, or maybe a vegan, but not a vegan. I'm going to start with one poem from my 4th book, Finishing School, which is all poems about being a student and teacher. And then another one I recently found that should have been in the book, but didn't make it. It's called East Side Story. Hands on our hearts in the dark theater, a gaggle of 8th grade girls slouch in the schwitz bath of our collective awe. As Tony and Maria embrace on the balcony, we taste their forbidden love, sweet and tart as new strawberries. Huddled beneath the triangle scarves we sewed in home ec, we hold our breath through the kisses, grip forearms at the rumble, exhale through the dance numbers. I want to be in America bursts from my throat as I wash the dishes, sweep the house or turn the soil. Bail bond shops order dress marks, blooming with quinceañera dresses, turquoise, yellow, and red. They bind my heart to the drama, like the rick-racked skirts of island dolls that whirl across the IMAX screen of memory. Are we the same girls who flirted with Ouija boards at seances on the bottom bunk in summer camp? The ones who danced with lead-tongued boys at socials in the rec hall? So little has changed since then. Everything has changed. Thank you. And this poem I just remembered a few days ago. I was playing cards with a friend, and we started talking. He said, "What do you remember about the Vietnam War?" And we started talking about that, and this poem popped into my head. Quick Write, 1968. It's really an ars poetica about how I became a poet. When I first saw the horseshoe of desks in the honors English class, I thought they might be a door to an alternate universe. Our aging teacher stood before us, silk shirtwaist straining at its darts. Half moons of sweat bloomed like peonies beneath her arms, raised for emphasis. Her eyes flashed cool fire, cheeks still rosy, her long white hair pulled into a twist, clasped with tinkling silver bells that reminded me of Robert Frost. Stopping by Walden Pond on a foggy morning, she had a vision. As her words tumbled out, our 16-year-old bodies stuttered into stillness, clinging to every syllable. She wanted to know what we thought of Cather, Lawrence, and Poe. It was the first time anyone had asked, had dared to breach the border of our ennui, and we were ready to testify to spring's unfolding. As our awareness grew, so did the numbers, an existential lottery designed by generals with their risk game strategies. One by one, the senior boys received the summons, moved to the front of the line to be fattened for the war machine. I thank the universe for making me female, despite news of coat hanger abortions, airbrushed rapes, and contraband Marlboros ground under steel-toed boots on the wrong side of the tracks, while air raid drills screamed us into adulthood. She wanted us to write about it, all of it, to hold nothing back, to tell it like it was, as if our lives depended on it.
Can you take some pictures? I'm talking to my husband, the photographer in the corner. Forgot to remind him.
You kept taking your finger.
I know. Obviously, everyone knows that. This poem I wrote in 2021 on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and I'm always trying to write in ways to kind of explore difficult topics and to find some medicine or wisdom within it at the end. So I think this is still applicable. It's called How to Stay Afloat. Some days you feel like a passenger on the Titanic, the one playing piano to calm everyone's nerves as the ship slips into those dark depths. But today, you see a video clip of a young man in a yellow safety vest sharing water with a thirsty squirrel as it splays across a hot sidewalk. The man tipping his own plastic bottle right into the small open mouth. Tears well as he watched the man gently pet the squirrel's back with his free hand. The squirrel's front leg outstretched, its tiny paw resting on the man's other hand. You watch it run up the man's forearm and stay there, the man still pouring water, even though something wild is standing on his arm and his sleeve is soaked. And you think, wow, if everyone just cared this deeply, if everyone shared water, kindness, anything needed, maybe we could keep this thing afloat. Maybe we could stay. And this poem is after Mary Oliver's poem, Wild Geese, which I know everybody knows that poem. And it's called Wild Geese Redux. As fall breaks the will of summer's heat, Canadian geese circle south, clacking and honking from their armored V. Migratory patterns followed season after season. An unbroken code willed from DNA, they fly high in the clean blue air. Meanwhile, the wilderness in my cells, blood rising to the surface, only to still grow quiet in the glow of wood stove firelight. Sleep, night whispers, and from the downy depth of a flannel comforter, I obey. Dreams offer themselves to my imagination, call to me over and over like wild geese, while the soft animal of my body does what it does, loves what it loves. At my age, I don't have to be good. I don't have to repent in the desert or walk on my knees to find my place in the harsh and exciting family of things. Each day the world offers itself, the sun, the grief, the pebbles of rain falling over the landscape. We don't need to talk about despair, yours or mine, as winter's long darkness falls across the desert, prairies, the deep trees, crooning to us across mountains and rivers, saying, let the world go on, it's time to rest.
That's beautiful, Shawna. Okay. Hope I didn't break it. Hello, there we are. Okay, cool. Well, you know, as poets, we're very lucky because we get poetic license. So these two poems are kind of like that. And this one is called O to W. W. You are wicked as the only three-syllable letter. We know the power that you wield with your self-appointed crown. You wish you weren't so far down from the mighty M, the one who wears her wardrobe like a mountain. You don't know how to be an organ, you have to be a Wurlitzer. You can't just be a color, you have to be white. You can't be thin, you always go wide, and most times you just whistle. Wild like a sworn woman whose wrath is rained upon a woeful man, warm not to be confused with weak, since you always win. Woe be the wannabe that tries to upstart you in the first place. When wrinkles wedge and a seemingly wayward life withdraws, and your wisdom becomes your greatest possession, when wanderlust turns into wide wonder, and waiting is exchanged for wanting, all questions of why will be answered. Ladies, you know about this, and gentlemen, I would love you to follow as well. This is called pedicurist. I am immediately ushered into an ancient recliner chair, coated with a massage blanket and a remote control. She turns on the control. With imaginary arms, the chair encircles me and holds me captive. The rolling balls begin to climb the landscape of my back, half-heartedly hitting every pressure point. She fills the shower cap basin with more hot than warm water. I don't complain. She commands me to submerge my least favorite parts into the blue salted water. I am beginning to feel almost biblical as my secrets are unveiled and Amy and I become intimate. Inspecting, preening, clipping, filing, shaping, using a box grater to remove summer sanded heels. She wears no gloves but dons a face mask, her Asian eyes squinting at me, though her smile hidden. She is into her craft, and after polish is applied, she works her magic, expertly running her thumbs up and down the shaft between my tibia and fibula, using her thumb and forefinger, pressing little circles around my ankle bones and knees, in front and back, just the right amount of pressure. She curls her hand and rolling pins the bottom of my feet. I sit quietly and complacently in a half-dream state. After almost 1 hour, our time together draws nigh, finished off with a swipe of a luxuriously warm towel. I reminisce of being 5 years old as she gently replaces my sandals. I thank her vigorously and monetarily. My otherwise dull Monday has been transformed. I leave the shop, literally walking on air. Thank you.
Get in there. You should write the copy for massage commercials. Yeah. Worked for me. I think I'm gonna hold this because it keeps popping out. This is kind of silly, but we're in Sonoma, and so Sonoma sketches. Mrs. Quail squats on a post, gossiping with her back fence neighbor. You vegetarians eat like birds. Milk bottles wallow on the porch, wallflowers awaiting partners, dreaming of cream separator. Sheep graze bleached hay fields, invisible until they stir, masticating their own wool. The cows cast a lazy eye towards Raven's whistle, sharing sweet mash among 4 stomachs. The maples blush deeply, embarrassed by the great horned owl's mating song. At nightfall, the cat's face, ballooned with bloodlust, hesitates on the doorstep, weighing its options. Do I know you? This is also a Petaluma poem. It's called, kind of a love poem. It's called Forget Me Not. At 8 a.m. I cruise the slumbering neighborhood, silent under its green comforter. At the fence line, I spy the turkey clan, 13 strong, coaxing worms from a scrabbled patch of ground. I want to tell them that there's a virgin hillside here, teeming with life, but they never look up or question the clouds, the fecundity of soil. In the evening, I stop for them on the boulevard, drunk barflies zigzagging across asphalt, peppering the air with feathers. The young bring up the rear, the blushing scrotums of their wattles, swinging pendulums. I lift a hand to my neck to finger my own creping skin, while I absorb their dharma of slowness, savoring wanderlust. I know that you have seen them too. I signal to you with this forget-me-not. Put it in for you. It doesn't seem like it quite fits.
Survival tips. After stars turn in the lock of night, be slow to answer sunlight's urgent alarm. Disavow the import of screen, of the news, as you enter the milieu of the day. Birds are a key, their songs turning in the lock of your mind, unguent against fire and flux, against the world's chaos and press. Listen as clouds click clockwise, waving white on a dark blue sea. The pen is another key. Pick it up. Translate the dream dust collected on your tongue, embedment of poems in the heart, the spleen, the soles of your feet. Write about what you see and everything you came here to learn. Sip your latte, frothed with coconut milk. Lick your thumb and leaf quickly through the big book of answers. Marvel at all the blank pages. Waking up. Sunlight rivers through cracks in the cascade of curtains. The black cat is a headboard gargoyle eyeing you with his 2 yellow moons. What will this new day bring, aside from an urgent need for hot tea, a blue sky free of rain? Perhaps jacarandas and lavender bud? But no, it's still January. The floor is cold under your naked feet, like pasture grass hardened with frozen dew. You wonder if the end of the known world will announce itself today. A broken tectonic plate, the loud crashing sound of the stock market, the spermless birth of a girl savior. Your heart is cleanly cleaved with woe on the one hand and on the other radiance, handed out by the rising sun. Rising here, setting there, the moon spins around without a care, and so you rise, reject the threatened rust of Klexos, the chains of eschatology, trusting instead the warmth of what you cup, this sip of morning, awake to the bird song of every now, now, now.
Okay, this one is, it's always lovely to write about things and people that you love. So this is called The Fixer, Heart and Hands. Large hands, big enough to encircle a tree branch, soft enough to guide my upper arm, capable hands that saw, nail, and build, wide enough to massage my back in just one sweep, hands that can fix all things, whether broken or needing assemblage, hands always on deck for any kind of an emergency, coupled with a masculine assuredness of always having a plan. What goes better together than heart and hands? You have married the two, showing me your true you. As I watch you scoop up your grandchildren with just one hand, it's easy to see your heart is in their hands. And thank you. This goes along too. It's called Sand and Sea. You stay dry, look for seashells. I jump in the waves. Married for 50 years. You are earth, I am water. So this poem, we had a lovely time together in Santa Fe at a Jimmy Baca writing conference. So this is what I walked away from after hearing him speak. If I saw him coming, I would cross the street. Hooded, latte Latino, weighing in heavy on the masculine side. Eyes squinted, lips full, with a slightly sinister smile. He appears ageless, with the look of a man who has lived many lives and has stories to tell. He looks like an ex-con, but when he opens his mouth, a murder of crows fills the air with a cacophony of caws. Then comes the silver geese, the red and green parrots, pink flamingos, and the great white herons circling the horizon. Next comes the sweet symphony of skylarks and nightingales swooping up the flock, lifting you higher. His speech delivering his redemptive message of beauty, peace, and meeting. He is the holy grail for the disenfranchised, the gospel for the suffering. His words like holy water, quenching the thirst of anyone looking for hope. His straight face breaks into a smile that spreads across the room. Playfully laughing at himself, he denounces adulation. He is the voice of humanity, but most important, he is the voice of love. Read, 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 and write. Poetry is spiritual. It's your prayer. It can save your life. Sing your song, he commands. Jimmy Santiago Baca, the poet for everyone. Thank you.
That was my request, that moniker made that one. Such a great portrait. All right. This is a poem I wrote after taking a workshop with Ellery Akers. I know she's from this area, more Mendocino-ish, but if you ever get a chance to study with her, she's wild and crazy and fun. Calling in the Allies. The world is a thrush with a broken wing. I carry it to safety. I call in sage bundles and native drums. Earth's waters are tainted. I wipe their tears on the white skin of birches. I call in the wind to kiss away the sting. I call in the barn owl to chalk the sky with symmetry. I call in grandmother's scorched apron for gathering chestnuts and windfall plums. I call in the World Book Encyclopedia, whose glossy pages filled my mouth with cardinal cedar waxwing hooded oriole. I call in children planting seeds in Dixie cups, who thrilled to pygmy beanstalks, climbing classroom windows, sprouting from soil. I call in the black bear, trout in its jaw. I call in the red vixen, slipping through the neighbor's fence. I call in rain's cool cheek, washing us clean. And this next poem made it into the book. The book is Rara Avis. It's for the birds. I sort of cheated on this. It doesn't have a lot of birds in it, but it's got a little, you'll see, bird walk. We're walking down the hill to the little pond that always reminds me of McGilligan's pool. It's dinky with a sprinkling of preteen boys dreaming on their fishing poles. Catch anything, I ask? Oh, I know there's not a single fish in their buckets. The turtles are out in force, lining a log, like commuters waiting for the 6:40 bus. I start to tell Em a story about the time my 6-year-old appeared on stage with Bill Irwin. If you don't know Bill Irwin, he's one of the greatest clowns in the world. How the great clown whispered to him, both of them in identical harlequin suits, standing inside an antique trunk, as if it were just an ordinary day at the circus. You never stick to the storyline, Em says. You veer off on crazy tangents. My professor calls those bird walks, I say. They're prized in the storytelling community. This is just a teensy lie, not the bird walks per se, but the part about storytellers liking them. Then I crawl out on a narrow limb and tell him about the nuns' study, how the sisters who wrote about their lives in prosaic language got early Alzheimer's. My story elements are lined up in my mind like those turtles on the log, only the line is more of a spiral, like the traffic circle on Western Avenue. I finish the Bill Irwin story and move on to the black and white glossies on my wall, how I came to own them. It's all serendipity, I say, and synchronicity, forgetting, again, the difference between them. Is there a difference? If you're patient, the story will come back to pick you up and walk you home, I say, like a good square dance caller, even when the metaphorical bus is late.
This poem is called In the Dazzle, and it's after the poet Cuisine. Day after day, I ride a sail between ocean and heaven, clinging to the heavy cloth with both hands. These gems, this dazzle of daylight I never tire of. Sunrise, my poetic thoughts bloom like calendula blossoms, record of what I feel, the undertow of what I fear. I want so much to not fail. A single dandelion seed cartwheels on the day's breeze, weightless. What else can I do but breathe in, exhale, breathe in, again, again. Gases exchanging, red cells ballooning with oxygen. I have done so much everything, thinking it was nothing. As 2024 closes out. In some other galaxy, pomegranate and robins, and stones that iridesce where I walk, and love bears no armament, no enemy. Season after season, joy is a warm breeze blowing in every direction. But here the poor breeze, all it must hold, all it transmutes, when peace is a gem, sanguine and rare, a transience, found only in furtive movement of earth, cloud, and moon-pulled tide. In the garden at sunrise, fresh green of seedling, kale, broccoli, collards. I find no spilt blood here, no fragment of bone or balm. Only this restless want to inhale on purpose the world's enmity and oxide, exhaling fierce hope into the morning wind, my weeping willow arms flung wide, imploring sun, the infinite sky. And my last poem for the evening is called Wintering. January drapes itself across gray skies like wet laundry, rain dangling down in swirling sheets. Every being hunkers down. Small brown wrens fluff on bare branches, insects under leaves, and seeds dormant and low in layers of loam. You are in your navy sweatpants, wool socks, a long sweater as tendrils of orange lick upward inside the wood stove, the cast iron radiating a warmth you want to press yourself against. Winter is a slowdown, melatonin rising in the long dark, and you want to rest the body, to sleep long sleeps like bear, like snake coiled underground. Come spring, when seeds push their green cotyledons skyward, you too will rise in the lengthening light. Until then, do what nature does. Slow, slow, rest, sleep.
Okie doke. It's there as the sun peeks through the shutters while entwined in your lover's arms. The bliss maker is present when the crying baby is soothed to sleep. It's in the words of love delivered in the heat of an argument that can go either way. Blessed be the peacemaker. It coats your eyeballs like a caramel apple as you take in your first glimpse of the sea. It visits you on your first day of vacation. Hail to the blissmaker. It's the flickering ceiling light on your return from your loved one's funeral. It lays you down in greener pastures. It's the prodigal son returning with gifts. It's the sound of a violin circling strings around your heart. It's the seed in the tomato and the tomato in the seed. It's the little things hiding in plain sight. Hail to the blissmaker as you watch the woman with small children waiting in a long queue, letting the caned old man go first. It's the gentle touch on your shoulder when you receive bad news, the smell of pine as you breathe in and hang your last ornament. It's the painter's last brush stroke and the poet's last line. Hail to the blissmaker. So I have a chapbook called Senryu for the Soul. Sanrio is like haiku, as you all know, only it addresses human nature. So I'm going to read you a couple of them. I have divided the book into 3 portions, and it's truth, transcendence, and love. So, truth. Feel the sun's blessing, warmth on your face and body. It lives to serve you. 2. From here to the end, this time on earth is precious. Now is the springboard. 3. Some things are finite. Change is not the enemy, it's evolution. Transcendence. Face all your demons, precious gifts sleeping inside. Sit and have coffee. 2. To be transparent, deep secrets not yet unearthed, hiding from myself. 3. You are the master. Feed subconscious what you will. Brainwash for success. And last but not least, love. When in doubt, send love. When sad, scared, or mad, send love. Transformational. Love supersedes truth. Self-love is the gift of love. All good comes from it. To listen and love while maelstroms swirl around you. It's the only way. Thank you, everyone. So that ends our tonight's reading, and it really give the poets here a big round of applause, and also yourselves. Really has been a wonderful evening. Yeah, and Sandy, she made it, and thank you for being so flexible and jumping right into open mic. That you had to gobble down your dinner so we could get that together. That was very good of you. Thank you so much. Our next reading is going to be January 6th, and it's going to be via Zoom, and Sandra Anfang will be hosting it from her home in Las Vegas. We have 2 Las Vegans that are going to be Las Vegan Vegans. It's Bruce Isaacson, formerly from the Bay Area, and David Duncan. Don't forget to sign up for open mic. It fills up fast, and you can just email Sandra at rivertownpoet@gmail.com. Thanks so much, staff here that have served us so lovingly and taken good care of us. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Sandy, so much for flying into us to see us. And just before you leave, don't run off so quick. We're going to have one for the road from our beautiful Sandra Anfang, and she promises to be back in the spring, and we look so forward to it. The next time Shawna and I will see you will be in February, and along with Dave. So until then, blessed holidays to all of you. May all your wishes come true. Go out and buy something for yourself, and happy holidays and a very, very happy 2025.
By the way, when Shawna's book comes out, we have to have a book party.
Oh, yeah.
Put yourself on the schedule, Monica. I mean, Shawna. And yeah, just a note about, if you don't want to email me right now, that's fine. Next week I'll be sending out the email about Bruce and David Duncan. David Duncan is kind of a new poet, and he's amazing. Met him through a poetry group there. And Bruce has been a big name in poetry in San Francisco, the East Bay, New York, you name it. So they're both wonderful.
Yeah.
This is called Rumination on Unabashed Gratitude, after Ross Gay, one of my very, very favorite poets. Life grows weightier each day. Sometimes my arms can barely stretch around it. Delta surges in fight of the vaccine. Wildfires not 2 hours away. The ground so parched, I can hear the earthworms pleading for rain. But when I lift my head, I see the impossible blue of scrub jays, their azure jackets topping herringbone kilts, like the uniformed girls who titter by on their way home from school. Thank you for their gumption that defies those who would strip them of themselves. It glitters in a glimpse of lacquered fingernail, a glinting lip ring. Thank you for fat chalk sticks to scrawl our truth on playground blacktop. Thank you for abandoned buildings tagged in beauty and in rage, for tiny apricots that slip through gaps in the neighbor's fence and roll down to our waiting mouths, for wild mares in the park, so sway-backed they could be wing chairs for the human heart. The pulse of a drum in a barn up the road awakens the throat to simple joy. We find a way to make our hash marks on the sky. Thank you for the odd gust that riffles my sleeve as I pace the dust of summer evenings, for the riot of wild blackberries almost beyond reach, for the wild hound that calms when I speak gently walking by. Thanks for the velvet nose of the mule shading itself in the refuge of a wizened pear tree, and for gutters filled with oak galls, otherworldly spheres that conjure steampunk memories. Thanks for resilience that knocks at the door of my despair as I comb the hills for synchronicity, for dreams of health, endurance, and longevity. Thank you so much for coming. And by the way, Monica and I have some books up here. And Shawna will next year.